Iran's attack on Israel is an unprecedented development because it shatters the foundation essentially of their rivalry across the Middle East. Basically, these two countries engaged in competition, indirect warfare, but all of that still was done considering or respecting some of the unwritten rules established between the two enemies. But with the attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, later escalated by Iran by launching a massive number of drones and missiles against Israel, these rules, unwritten rules, have been crossed essentially. Now we have a new pattern of rivalry between the Islamic Republic and Israel. It is now very much possible that future competition between these two countries could easily spill over into a major face-to-face war. So basically, with Israel's attack on the consulate and the retaliatory assault on Israel, we see a shadow war no more, and a more direct approach to the conflict, to the enmity. From now onwards, Iran will be more and more able to actually challenge Israel at its borders, inside the country perhaps. Israel too will look at Iran, at potential neighbors of Iran who could be used against the Islamic Republic, and that will increase the level of competition between these two countries. In the longer term, this escalation which we witnessed over the past several weeks in the Middle East, and especially between Iran and Israel, actually tells you a lot about the state of affairs in the region. We gradually witnessing essentially the growth of chaos in the Middle East, with the signs indicating that this is not a short-term perspective, short-term development, but rather a longer-term one, because we see now shifting pattern of competition between the countries, shifting pattern of trade routes which have traditionally crisscrossed the entire region from the Mediterranean to Central Asia, so to say. And with that in mind, you have to put this overall picture of the Middle East into a wider perspective of what we are seeing in the Eurasian continent, and with the US trying to reorient its, or recalibrate essentially its foreign policy away from the Middle East towards perhaps wider Black Sea region, Eastern Europe, and also primarily to the Indo-Pacific region. The Middle East region now becomes a centerpiece essentially of reshaping of the order in the Eurasian continent. We now see how Washington is struggling essentially to preserve its primary position, mainly because it somehow is facing troubles in controlling or maintaining a certain restraint in Israel's foreign policy, in Israel's military actions beyond its borders. But this attack against Israel carried out by Iran actually tells you a lot of who is winning and who is not, essentially. Though the majority of the analysts thinks that we've seen essentially a win-win momentum for both for Tel Aviv and Tehran, meaning that Israel managed to shoot down absolute majority essentially of the missiles and drones sent against it, and Iran maintained its prestige across the region. I still think that Iran is in a much more comfortable position as it now enjoys support from the Arab countries. It now sees itself as a supporter and as a defender of the Palestinians. Islamic Republic also positions itself as a country which enjoys support of Russia and China, and if you read those statements made by Moscow and Beijing over the past almost 2 days, you see how these bigger Eurasian actors actually indirectly or at times even directly support the Islamic Republic of Iran. So with that in mind, you see that though it is a win-win situation, meaning that the attack on Israel benefited actually both, in a way, Tel Aviv and Tehran, still the latter is in a more comfortable position when it comes to a longer-term strategic perspective. The US could not really allow to be dragged into this potential conflict between Israel and Iran, and the US diplomacy really did a good job by maintaining a certain order in this emerging chaos, so to say, and the results are promising for the moment. It seems that Israel's attack will not be a forthcoming one in the immediate future, I would say, and it cannot be a massive one even in the longer term, because that will definitely trigger a major response from Iran, which still with this latest attack on Israel sort of showed restraint by signaling in advance when and where it will be hitting, so that the US and Israel were well prepared for the oncoming assault carried out by the Islamic Republic.